Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video review of The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky. Before I begin, let me just start off by saying I had really super high expectations for this book based off of the top charts that it's in, the movie that MTV is coming out with, and just the overall hype that this book has got. Well, unfortunately, my expectations were not met. I'm really big into the overall look and design of books, and sadly, this book did not cut it for me. I know that this was probably the design that they were going for, something sort of weird and teenager-ish, but I just could not I can't make myself like this cover. It's horrible. Now, as far as the formatting and the font is really close together, so it's kind of hard to read, as you can see. I wasn't a fan of that. Another really weird thing is it's divided into sections, and this book really doesn't need that because it's a compilation of letters that the main character is sending out to you, and really nothing changes that drastically in the book as far as the story to warrant having different sections. Now, aside from my pickiness on the design and overall aesthetic appearance of this book, I didn't like the story. I didn't find it interesting. Maybe it just wasn't my type of book, but for a young adult book that's supposed to cover so many different topics and so many young adult issues, The Fault in Our Stars completely killed this book, and I feel like most young adult books do. This was just bad. You might even like this book. A lot of people apparently do because it's pretty big, but I didn't. The main character, if you didn't know any better, if it didn't tell you in the book, you might suspect he's about 8 years old because every 2 or 3 sentences he's crying about something. Literally, he's about 15 years old in the book, I think, and this kid cries more than he talks. It's pretty pitiful, and the only emotion in this book that's conveyed is sadness. Happiness is in here maybe 2 lines out of the entire book, and it's just briefly. It's very brief, but this is a very depressing book if you look at it through the main character's eyes. The characters were very static. None of them really changed in their personality or their overall mood in the book. They were the same character at the beginning of the book as they were in the end of the book, and for me that doesn't cut it. Now, the story itself is about this one boy who basically has a lot of issues, and he's trying to work through it by writing you and letting you know everything that happens in his day-to-day life. Now, while this is a really interesting concept, and I feel like the author could have done a lot with it, it basically amounted to a bunch of letters with some weird messages in them. I thought throughout the entire book, the main focus was on live life to its fullest by partying, getting wasted, and just doing everything that you feel like doing. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, just go out and do it. And that's really, how in the world is that a message for a book? But it's the main sort of focus of this book, just doing what you want. Well, I know this was targeted towards the teenage audience, and the author wants to have the characters seem realistic by making them make mistakes and do teenage things. But for me, that's the entire book was, he tried to overcompensate with the lack of story, with all of these different events that happened and stuff, and it just, for me, it did not come together very well. I'm glad I did read it because I'd always wonder, you know, what is the big deal with this book? But I'm kind of still wondering, what is the big deal with this book? I give it a 1 out of 5 stars, and again, this is just a matter of opinion, to each his own. You might love the book, it might be your type of thing, but for me, it wasn't there. This is my review of The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky.